Hanon Exercise 2 is today's feature. A lot of pianists love Hanon. A lot of them hate Hanon. They have good reasons on either side for what they feel. I'm going to show you how you can make it useful to you. The first thing to look at is the pattern. These are sequenced exercises. A sequence in music means a short pattern that is repeated a step up or down, usually. The pattern with Hanon 2 is this. And then it repeats starting up. Now on the way down, it does the same pattern reversed, well, almost. And then it repeats that moving down. So here's what you can do to make this useful to you. Step 1 is, of course, learning the notes. The notes here start with, I'm going to do the right hand first. C, E, A, G, F, G, back up to G, F, E, then go to D and start the pattern again. You can also think of it as start on C, skip a note with your second finger, and do 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, and then repeat the pattern starting on D. If you're doing the left hand, we're not skipping a finger with the first 2 notes. We're only going to be skipping here after we get to the thumb. So we start with 5, then 3, and then skip a note with the thumb. Now this brings the whole hand up into a different position, and then 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. I'll show one more. 5, 3, skip a note with the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and repeat that pattern. Learning the pattern first is essential. If you don't know the pattern and you don't feel comfortable with the pattern, then you're not going to feel comfortable doing the exercise correctly. Now, why such a wide view on the side here? This is where we get to the technique involved in this exercise. I'm going to show this one hand at a time. I'm going to show the left hand first because this way you can actually see my entire arm as it's doing this exercise. So this is going to be a wrist circle exercise. Now, when I do a wrist circle, look at what my wrist is doing. My wrist is going in a clockwise motion with the left hand. My elbow is also making a very similar motion. It is moving with the motion of the wrist. I suggest doing this with your fingers lightly on the keys, just getting yourself used to moving your arm and your wrist. If you've ever played violin or viola, you would remember that when you first learned to bow with your right hand, you had to learn to move your wrist and your whole arm in conjunction. You don't just move the arm back and forth like this to bow at it, which is what a lot of people do when they're beginners. In this case, we don't want to just be stiff and do this. We don't want it to just be all fingers that are overly raised. This is where you can cause issues. And this is one of the reasons a lot of pianists just don't like it, because they feel that beginners really shouldn't be doing this because it could cause issues in the future. So now as you get this down, when you get to the bottom note, which the emphasized note of this exercise is the first note of each measure. In this case, it's the C and then the D. So as I'm doing this circle, I'm coming down into that pinky note. Now this may seem counterintuitive, but you're doing this circle, and isn't the left hand side of the circle the bottom note? Not necessarily. I think of it coming down into that note, then back up and around, and then down. It's up, it's starting to come down like this. So it's making that big circle. Try it with me. I'll go very slowly down into the first C, then up, over to the thumb. Now we're coming back down into the pinky. Now you may want to roll back around for the little mordant that's in there, and you can. Once it gets faster, you really won't want to do that. Now, don't over tighten the fingers when you do this. You may cause a little bit of strain in the hand. If you notice any discomfort in your hand, just give yourself a minute and try it again. If you still have discomfort, please go to a teacher. You can come to me or go to another teacher and ask for their advice. With the right hand, I'm just showing the technique now, then we're going to play through the entire thing with each hand. Right hand is going to go in a counterclockwise motion, so practice doing the same thing with fingers on the keys, moving the wrist in a counterclockwise motion, and moving the elbow and arm with it. It is not just the wrist moving like this, it's the whole arm moving. So it would work like this. You may notice when I get to the part where I go back up, my wrist kind of hesitates for a second. Totally normal. And I actually put a little bit of a wrist rotation in there. That's coming later in another exercise. So just try a couple with me. Wrist down. Now you notice for this one it's easier because wrist goes down on the thumb. The thumb is the important note. Okay, if you're ready to try this with me, we're gonna do right hand first for this one, and then left hand, and then I'm gonna show you hands together, and you can always try it with me. I'm gonna go at a somewhat slow pace. If it's still too fast for you, just watch and then try it yourself. 1, 2, ready, go. I'm only gonna do one octave. Now when you get here, you can continue on another octave or just come back down. You don't have to follow the book exactly as written. That's not really going to be all that helpful to you. It's just the idea of understanding the exercise here. On the way down, we're going to do the right hand first down, just so we're doing right hand all first, and then we'll do left hand. Same thing as what the left hand is doing. We're coming down into the pinky, and then down into the pinky, and keep going. Something else you may notice, I don't overlift my fingers. I also don't keep them glued to the keys. If you read the information in the Hanon book, it will tell you to lift the fingers as high as you can. Do not do that. Basically, don't read what it says. These ideas and techniques were written in the early 1800s and were believed to be a good way of learning, even into the 20th century. But we know now that it actually has a detrimental effect on your hands and wrists. Now, the left hand, up and down. Remember, coming down into the pinky first, okay? 1, 2, ready, go. Same thing as the right hand, a little bit of a wrist rotation when we get to the notes that are going back and forth. If you want to try that, I'll have another exercise example showing this, like I said, starting with the thumb here, down. This is easier because it's coming down into the thumb. And that's where the accented note is. Now I'm going to show both hands together, just the one octave up and down. I'm going to show it a little bit quicker because I want you to see the motion of the arms. Notice that they are not going the same direction. They're not doing this. There are going to be some out there that believe that you should always go in the direction of where the accented note gives you. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I don't disagree. I just think there are better ways to do it, and this technique is the healthiest for most of us. I'm going to stop here and give myself a second. There is a version of this where it just continues and goes straight back down. Now I know that was fast, but this is really just so that you could see the motion. Now, no matter what direction I'm going, each hand is going in the opposite directions. Left hand is always going in a clockwise direction. Right hand is always going in a counterclockwise direction. These wrist circles are important for the health of your wrists. Okay, now to the next part. This will be quick. One other thing you can do, and I've mentioned this in previous Hanon videos, you can change the key. If you want to change the key, start with hands alone. Let's say you want to do this in D. Now, just if you make sure you know your scale first. D has F sharp and C sharp in it. So what you may have to do is play a little further back into the keys. So if you have trouble playing further back into the keys like this, I have another suggestion. So what you could do is start with C. Just keep it on the white keys. And instead of playing out here, put these 3 fingers at the very least, and then your pinky out slightly into the black keys here, and these 3 fingers playing all the way into the black keys, and your thumb playing halfway towards the black keys. Now this is going to be a lot more complicated, but a really useful technique because there are going to be plenty of pieces where you absolutely have to play inside the area of the black keys. Remember that you have this entire area to play in, not just this area of the white keys and this area of the black keys. You have this much white key and this much black key to play in. Sometimes you may have to play all the way at the back of the piano, depending on the piece you're playing. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm going to be doing more of these, either Hanon or Czerny or Dochniani or something at least every other week, and then a different technique on the off weeks. So let me know what you want to see.